Welcome, everyone. Tonight we are talking about getting into the trucking business. No matter what type of vehicle or transportation or freight that you're thinking about hauling, we're going to cover a wide spectrum to help folks learn a lot of information about the trucking business. I wrote a book about 5 years ago on things to consider getting started. That is available to you on Amazon. You really don't need to buy it because most of what we talk about tonight is in the book. However, if you wanted to share one with someone, you'd be welcome to get you one. We operate as the Academy of Entrepreneurs and Associates, which is just a informal group of folks that are working to keep their businesses running, those that are just getting started, and those of us that have been in business a while. This is my presentation number 968, and I'm so glad to welcome you on my journey as an entrepreneur, to let me ride along with you in your journey as an entrepreneur. Looking very much forward to working with you. Here's some basic information on how to get in touch with me if you'd like. So when you're watching the video copy tomorrow night or whatever you do, you can stop it and take information down. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a CPA. I'm just a fellow that's been in business a long time and very happy to share free information with you. The first piece of information I always advise folks to do is get second and third opinions before you make any major decisions that affect your financial or business security. And a great place to go as an entrepreneur to get help and as a soundboard to get good feedback, more information that's free and confidential, is your small business center at your local community college. Wherever you are in North Carolina, if you don't know how to get in touch or where your small business center is, just go to your chat button, type that in, and I'll be glad to put you in touch with the small business center close to you. We're being sponsored tonight by Katie Shorter, the director of the Small Business Center in Pamlico County, and we have several people from down in the Pamlico Nation that have been attending with us, plus others. So happy to have Katie. She'll probably be joining us a little later, and just doing a fantastic job in getting a good program started there. I want to encourage you to find your chat button in all your webinars and share your name, your email address, and your hometown. Those are very important for us getting you registered into the system so that the small business centers get credit for your attendance, because the only way that they can maintain funding is for folks to sign in and to register with the small business center. So let me encourage you to do that. Study guides that have been emailed to you for this program tonight. Study guide number 968 is basically the talking points that we'll use during this presentation. Plus you got 4 others, the 40 drill skills, the homework assignments for those folks that are working towards their certificates, a little guide about 20 businesses you can start with $100 or less, and then a whole list of hundreds of different types of businesses that might come in very handy. But the primary one that you need right now is number 968, so you can follow along with the slides tonight, and also if you get the recording of this session, it'll help you make notes. If you haven't gotten them yet and you want the handouts, you can go to your chat board and let me know again your name and your email address and your hometown, and I'll be glad to email them to you before noon tomorrow. I see Lena is with us here, or maybe that's L-Y-N-A. Glad to have you on board. If you will, please give us your hometown in the chat board and in your last name, and we'll be able to stay in touch with you as well. Homework assignments are, for those of you that don't have your handout, is the homework assignments of the different things that you need to do to help push your business forward if you're just getting started. And this isn't kind of something that you might want to do. These are very, very important for every type of business, so I encourage you to do it. And if you have any questions about it, just let me know. I'll be glad to help you along in any way that I possibly can. My story is I've been in business for 63 years. Basically started when I was 12 years old when my dad opened up a tractor dealership in Dunn, North Carolina. Right here is Dunn, about 40 miles east of Raleigh, 30 miles north of Fayetteville and 100 miles from the coast over to the east. So that's where we're broadcasting from tonight, right here in Dunn. I've been in business except for the 4 years I was in the Coast Guard, actually stationed on the Virginia and North Carolina Outer Banks, and actually spent some time in Pamlico County as we were doing duty out of Beaufort. We'd come up the Neuse River and go to Oriental and to Newbern, such as that. But this is where I spent 4 years in my very early 20s, and treasure those memories and the associations that I made down east. After that, I came back, got involved in the tractor dealership that turned into forklifts and Skytracks and rentals and leases and financing and lots of other avenues through the years. But when I had a tractor dealership, this was it on the south side of Dunn. Now my dealership is on the internet, where I sell implements that go behind tractors. Don't have any inventory here, but we have customers all over the nation. 15 minutes ago, I was on the phone with a customer in California, and they bought a potato digger from me. An hour ago, I was on the phone with a customer in Texas that bought a mower from me. So we do business all over the United States and have for almost 30 years now. But after I sold my bricks and mortar dealerships, started doing these webinars free, and it's turned into now a career, almost a second career, and so rewarding because it puts me in touch with folks just like you. I have a chance to see and touch and hear and help as much as I can folks that are trying to get their own business started, and it's just a pleasure to do that. It's so very gratifying. I'm glad to do it. The 40 Main Street Smart Skill Drill is basically a sheet of information on 40 different tips and strategies that if you master them, I will guarantee you will have a more substantial business, make more money, and feel better about yourself and your business. So at least every 2 weeks, someone will say to me how important these are to you. So I encourage you to read these. On your handout, there's a list of videos that you can watch one at a time. And to get a extra mile certificate, you'll need to paraphrase how you will use each skill in your new business. Send that back to me. It will help you qualify for another certificate. Some people just go the extra mile. So we're talking about trucking tonight. I want to recognize a previous graduate, Crystal Fuller, who is still working towards getting her own trucks. I think she's got her CDLs by now. Been traveling all over the country and attending our webinars while she's been traveling. So Godspeed, Crystal. Keep up the good work. I know you're going to get there. Down in Fayetteville, I was just mentioning to Brittany, I think it was, my good friend in Fayetteville is Shirley Gray. She's been in the trucking business for a number of years now. She's growing that business in a number of different ways and would serve as a great mentor for you if you wanted me to put y'all in touch. Over in Clinton, my good friend Rayford Wells has started his own trucking business, mainly focused on towing. Rayford also does horse training, and he's been working real hard to get his own trucks up and running and start doing some business. He's getting some on-the-job training now with some other folks. Rayford's a great fella, and I was so proud of him this week. Rayford and another friend of ours did this. I want to tell you that is a major step for Rayford. He's got his own video up, and I'm so happy for him, so proud of him. Videos do not have to be long to be effective. As a matter of fact, sometimes short videos like that you can put on Facebook or send out in your email just to catch people's attention, get them to ring the bell, jot your phone number down. Sometimes a short video is really, really effective. But if you are in a position to catch your customer's attention, then here is Valerie Smith down in Wilmington, who's in the trucking business. She's trucking people around, and the same type of concerns affect her as they do all different trucks. So Valerie has graduated up to do more sophisticated videos. So let's take a look at that.
Hi, this is Valerie Smith, owner of Golden Point Transit Plus. This is my van, and it's wheelchair accessible.
The key with Valerie's video is that she has got showing the features that bring most of the customers her way, which is the wheelchair access. In her video, she's got a script written in it, a good voice, very short but very effective. So I'm encouraging you all to think about how to put your videos together in such a way to help bring people to you. It's so very important for you. Also, I want to mention Tom Davis in the Pamlico region. Tom is all set now to start helping people get their own websites up and running, and to do a number of other different factors for you. He's a great guy, great personality. I encourage you to get in touch with him. As the Academy grows, we're getting more and more folks that'll be able to help each other. So congratulations, Tom, for all the work that you've done. Tomorrow night, we're going to spend a lot more time showing you the progress that he's making in marketing. Stephanie is with us tonight. Hey, Stephanie, glad to have you on board. She is entering into entrepreneurship from a number of different fields that she's qualified to work with. I am really excited as she's working as an associate and consultant for me, and her trade name is going to be NC Marketing and Advertising. Wonderful young lady, looking forward to hearing a lot from you and watching your business grow. So welcome, Stephanie. Let's do a roadmap now. Let's try to get us a roadmap into how to get your trucking business up and running. It'd be so very important that we have a plan, and that's what I want you to do. First of all, you need to kind of love trucks if you're going to be in the trucking business. And if you can create that romance for the trucks, the different styles and different things, it'll be so helpful for you to feel the nature of it and to understand why some people just love it. They'd rather be in a truck, drive it out on the open road than anywhere else in the world. I can appreciate that, the freedom and the seeing new sights and new people every day are so much fun if that's what you're after. My favorite truck in the whole world is this Dodge Power Wagon. I fell in love with them when I was in the Coast Guard. We had a truck just like this at my duty stations up in the Outer Banks of Virginia, and we could take that truck and go right out on the beach and actually back our boat trailers into the surf and launch boats into the ocean right from the beach without a ramp. And this old Dodge Power Wagon really made it happen. So that's the truck that I'll always remember to love the best. At Carver Equipment Company and CarverEquipment.com, the main trucks we had were these rollback trucks like Rayford Wells' truck. So we had several of these. This one is a 8-wheeler. We had some 10-wheelers, larger and smaller than this. But this was generally the type of truck that I grew up driving all over eastern part of North Carolina, picking up and delivering different types of equipment. I want to tell you, I got a little special surprise for you if you're interested in moving into the truck and driving into the business, and you haven't got your CDL license yet, your commercial driver's license. I want to tell you that we did have some friends that helped us put together and find for us 3 different PowerPoint presentations that are practice tests, the different types of tests that you have to take to get your CDL license in North Carolina. This is legal. You're not doing anything illegal, and I'm glad to share it with you. All you have to do is let me know, type in chat that you'd like for me to send you copies of these. The files are so big, I can't just email them to you. I have to send them through email, but also through what's called Google Drive app. But if you'll give me your email address and request this, tomorrow I'll send these to you. And your email will show up that you've got a package waiting for you in Google Drive. So you'll probably have to go to the Google app and download it. It's free. There's no charge for it. And once you start using this Google Drive, you'll find out how valuable it is because you'll be able to, excuse me, you'll be able to email videos and really large files and lots of photos and things that are too large just to send by regular email. But these tests are really cool. One of my other associates helped put them together and refine them. I think you'll really enjoy them, and it will be very, very helpful. What is nice is to be able to go take your CDL test and pass it the first time, and a lot of folks are making 100 after studying these practice tests. Glad to share it with you. Well, I don't know what happened there. Let's see if I can find it. Mm-hmm. Well, it just left, didn't it? Forgive me, we're having technical difficulties. I hit the wrong button there somehow or another. I know you're all proud of me. See if we can recover here. All right, somebody turn your mic on. Is the screen back up now?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Forgive me, please. One of those technical errors. I'll catch up. So we're talking about moving on now. Hey, Rayford and these videos screw you up, is what it is. Okay. Tom, Stephanie again. All right, here we go. I know. All right. So let's think about this. Did you know that the trucking industry and every step of it is dynamic, and it's really super when the economy is growing? Everybody's hustling and bustling and trying to find a truck here and a truck there and paying really expensive rates. I want to tell you, it's the most exciting time that you can be into. Whether you've got one pickup truck and a trailer or 15 dump trucks, the information that you're going to gain here is going to keep you on the right path. So thanks for joining us. It's good to have you on board. I see we got Sheila has joined us. Thank you for coming on board, Sheila. So in your handout on the first page, you've got a checklist, a long checklist of 15 or 20 items that pretty much you're going to need to cover if you're just getting started. Some of these items may or may not apply to you, but if you're going to have a full-fledged, on your own 18-wheeler transportation company with big trucks, you're going to have to check off each one of these. So this is kind of the possible to-do list that everyone will have to do if you're going to have a regular trucking company. So I wanted to give you that. You can read it on your own as quickly as I can. There's no need for us to go over them. A lot of these are just housekeeping things that will need to be covered. And if you're just thinking about it, you probably had no idea that these things would be there. The trucking business is a tricky and risky business. It is tricky and risky. And there's a lot of risk involved. And what is the best risk management tool you can have is going to be your business plan. So anyone that's going to be involved in the trucking industry in any way, or the transportation industry, the business plan is almost imperative now because there are so many risks that you're going to have to be concerned about. It's really risky because the greatest risk that you can take, in 2022 is going into business unaware of how devastating the COVID has been to so many businesses. But your general health, your individual general health, and your safety are the biggest risks. The risk that you might have an injury at home, or the risk that you may have if you have an injury on the job. Why is that? Because if you're not driving that truck and those wheels aren't turning, there's no money coming in. But the bills are going to keep coming. So some people think, well, heck, I'm bulletproof. I can play softball and basketball and jump all over. I can go hunting. I can do this. I can take all types of risk. And maybe you could, and maybe you didn't have to worry about it when you were not a business owner, when you didn't have bills to pay. But you've got to be on the job. And in trucking, you can't be injured because it's going to require your legs and your arms and a good head and good vision, being able to get in and out of the truck to operate and run your business. So getting into this business may cause you to have to change maybe some of your lifestyle things that you've been doing so that you're not taking risk of getting injured. I used to have young folks that come to work for me at Carver Equipment Company. They were great truck drivers, great mechanics, young guys right out of high school or college, and they loved their athletics. They loved all the things they'd like to do for exercise and for sport. But you know what? 5 months into the job, everything was going fine. One of them breaks a leg. One of them breaks their arm. One of them does this or does that. And they can't work. Well, it's one thing when you're working for a job for someone else, but it is a big thing when you're working for yourself and you got bills to pay and you're unable to do it. Also, it's a risky business because this is not the truck driving world that we had from the 50s to the 80s. Used to, if you were working for a large company and driving those big 18-wheelers up and down the highways, if you just worked hard and stayed out of trouble, you would do really well. You had a pension, you had good insurance. You didn't have to worry about the truck expenses because the company was paying all the bills like that. There was a good chance you remember the Teamsters Union, which guaranteed health benefits and a great retirement and things like that. Well, it's a different world now, and especially a different world if you're working for yourself. So do a reality check. Just because an old-timer told you how great it is to be a truck driver or to be out on the road, his circumstances probably were a whole lot different than what you're going to be dealing with. Yeah, you can have some great opportunities as well, but it's a whole different set of circumstances than it used to be. One example is if you get laid off the job, if you're hurt in some way, it is an uphill battle to get any type of workman's compensation. Or if you're working for another company, it's really hard to get any type of light duty task that maybe you can do while you're recuperating. More and more people are getting into the truck drivers, folks that had been working for large companies, and they get hurt. After they're hurt, then they're kind of forced to start their own business, their own way to get back into game. So and that's okay that you do that, but I just don't want you entering this trucking world thinking that you can go to work for a large company, driving animal trucks or feed trucks or freight trucks or fish trucks or whatever type they are, and thinking that you're going to be all set. If you don't take care of yourself, you're going to be in trouble if you're in the trucking business. So the big risk is not having your own plan B and plan C. That is, that you've got something to fall back on. When you're putting your future together in the trucking, you're just not relying on one plan to make things work for you. And I'll talk tonight about diversity a whole lot, a number of times, because it is so very important for you if you're looking to go this way. Several of you have mentioned to you that you're looking at one type of driving, like for Amazon or maybe for one type of company, one type of product you're going to be hauling, one group of people. It's tricky. You got to be careful. Number one trick, when the economy is growing, things are going up, it's really easy to find a profitable load to move without a lot of hassle and without a lot of customer demands. People will beg you to come and move their products and pay you a big price. But the economy doesn't always stay strong. For the last 3 or 4 years, it's been going up, 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 and demand for trucks have been going up, up, up. The training schools have been full. Lots of demand. Everywhere you see a sign, every freight truck on the highway's got we need drivers. And that's true, but it's mainly true because the economy has been so strong. And the economy right now is starting to soften. You're hearing the word inflation on the news every day. And after a period of time, business goes in cycles. Excuse me. And we're getting ready to cycle down now. That's just what's going to happen. Things are going to start slowing down a little bit. And with these fuel prices caused by the war and other factors, the fuel price is skyrocketing, and the economy starting to soften a little. It's going to make things really, really tricky for someone in business, in the trucking business. So you just got to know that things change, and you have to be ready to change with them. Fuel prices, 4 months ago, diesel fuel was probably in the $3.50 to $4 range. Now it's over $5. So if you were paying your bills based on and you had your business plan based on low fuel prices, and you thought that $4 was really high, well, now you're really counting your eggs and chickens, because indeed $5.50 and $6 and going up could mean that it's going to have a significant difference on what you have to charge for freight. In my business today, one of those customers I just mentioned to you, we're shipping a potato digger to them from North Carolina all the way to California. Last year, the freight on that shipment, the cost on it, would have probably been about $450. Well, tonight, when I was doing that quotation, sending that bill to the customer, instead of $450, it was $750. And that's just a simple example of how much freight costs are going up. And that was a very little, small implement. Big implement costs can run on up into $2,000 now, when they were only $1,000 just a few months ago. So you know now that it's a tricky business. I want to tell every one of you that as you're going into this, just know you're going to have to stay on top of those kind of costs. It's a tricky business because regulations are always changing, and there's going to be plenty of regulations. You can bank on that. There has to be. But it means that if you're not really good on details and keeping up with those kind of things, you're going to need to get good on it, or hire somebody to help you, or join an organization of folks that will help you keep up with those types of restrictions. Tricky business, accidents. Accidents happen all the time. We all know that. We're out on the highways. We see all kinds of accidents. The problem is that there's no such thing as a little, small, insignificant accident when you got a big truck involved. Big trucks and heavy trucks mean serious damages and expensive damages. So every mile that you're out on that highway, every mile that you're turning wheels on the asphalt, there's a chance that someone's going to have an accident. And indeed, you just have to know that's part of it. Risk management strategies help keep you from being scared to death of all these risks I've been talking about. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. 3 or 4 things would be extra important for you. Number one, you need a good insurance plan, an insurance agent that understands your business, your type of trucking business, so that you're covered properly. And in your mind is the most important risk management strategy in keeping safety first. If safety is on your mind and you can avoid 99% of the accidents just by defensive driving or looking after your equipment or proper maintenance, then by golly, that's the best way to avoid risk and save a lot of money. Next, depending on the size and scope of your business, you want to find the right broker or the right employees that's going to help you, who have the duties of staying on top of regulations and looking after your safety factors. That all depends on how big your business is going to be. And sometimes, even if you're a small operator with 1 or 2 trucks, having an association with a truck service department or the right broker that will help you steer away from problem areas can be so important. So right now is a good place to take some notes. One is, how are you fixed up on your business plan? Have you started working on that? We'll talk about that a little later. I want you to find a really good insurance agent that you can talk to that is used to doing writing policies with the type of trucking business that you're going to do. Okay, every insurance agency is not equipped to handle you properly. Just because someone's got your car insurance does not mean they should be the ones that get your truck insurance. You may have to move your car insurance to another agency to have the best trucking insurance possible. Safety first is critical. Maybe this isn't something that you have known about in the past, but as you're studying for your CDLs, you'll notice a lot of that is all about safety. And a broker can help you steer away from some shady deals or people that's going to take advantage of you financially. That's why you have to have someone you can trust, because you're putting your financial trust into your brokers. Also, the folks that you hire are all going to be about an extension to you, those risks. What's going to keep your trucking business alive? Why will your trucking business live for 60 years when others will go out of business in 2 or 3 months? I had the occasion today to check on a good friend of mine that used to be in business. His dad was in business for 55 years, and he's been running the business for 10 years. I went to do some business with him today, and the sign on the door said, "No longer in business, gone." He had about 8 employees doing over $1 million a year. I don't know what happened, but I know they're gone. It happens all the time, and it really happens a lot with folks in the trucking business. People get behind on their payments, or they have an accident, or they have a marital problems, things split up. Lots of things can happen. But the main thing that keeps people from being successful in the trucking business is only doing one thing, is having only one customer and one group of customers, or working only for one company. If you're just doing one thing, I'm going to assure you one day it will go south. It always happens. It's not a matter if it's going to happen or just when it's going to happen. So depending on the type of trucking business that you're in, you want to have some diversity built in to give you some flexibility to last in case this one big thing goes south on you. Smaller operators can protect yourselves a lot better by focusing on niche markets. And the niche markets are the real key for profitability and for sustainability in your business. Also, depending on what you're doing, if you can develop a wholesale buying or retail selling opportunities with your trucking business, so that as you're out there on the road, not only are you handling freight for other people, but you're also handling freight that maybe you're taking advantage of wholesale deals that you can get in one place and bring it back and sell it yourself, or deliver it to someone else with a retail situation, so that you're able to make profit by hauling payloads that indeed you can make profit from by doing more than just hauling them up and down the road. We'll discuss that a little bit more later tonight as well. It all adds up to the words I like to use for the young and adventurous folks getting into the trucking business today is, let's just consider it. And I don't mean to demean what you're doing at all, but let's call a side hustle is a good thing in entrepreneurism today, because those side hustles are the extra little profit centers, the extra ways that you can make money while you're continuing your main job. Some of you may have a full-time job now that you plan to keep, but you'd also like to start a little side hustle in the trucking business. Don't want to quit your day job, but like to start putting something together that may grow into something big. So let's consider that it's perfectly fine, and I'm encouraging you to use that term side hustle to start building a number of different ways to create income for yourself. So let's just kind of look at this slide here, talk about the different types of trucking and things that you can do in this industry. We'll talk a little later on about hot shots, and you may not be familiar with that term, but it is big. It's really big. And maybe you want to be in the trucking business driving them, but also possibly you might want to sell used trucks. buy and sell them because you're out there in the market, you see those opportunities. Today, there's probably more profits being made selling used trucks than they are running them up and down the highways. The same thing for trailers and campers and boat haulers. Those industries are just booming. Every time you see a camper, an RV, it's out there on the road and therefore connected to the transportation type business. And whenever someone's breaks down, they got to be towed. So like my friends Rayford are doing, finding a way to maybe have a tow-in vehicle or using your vehicle to do something more than just hauling, but also take advantage of towing opportunities when they come along. We are in eastern North Carolina, and you talk about the boat industry is really growing right now. As the economy's been growing the last 4 or 5 years, the boat interest in the eastern part of the state have as well. Several new boat companies have come on board, and several small companies are starting to grow. Marinas are picking up. People are moving in and out of our coastal regions. Therefore, they want to have their boats hauled here and there. Some folks are want their boats to be moved from the middle Atlantic area down to Florida on a regular basis. So the boat hauling industry is really important. So how do you play on to that? Well, if you're a hot shot hauler or you've got a larger truck, then you might want to have a special niche truck, boat hauling trailer so that you can take advantage of that and make the contacts to have a good niche market. These are all about the niche markets. Horse hauling, equine business is booming. Folks that are equipped to haul horses all over the country, from races to different breeders to different pastures. It is an important part of the business. Yes, if you're going to be in the business and you want to really get involved, there's nothing wrong with you being an insurance agent at the same time that you have your trucking company, so that not only you might be able to provide insurance for yourself, but also for other folks. Truck washing facilities are becoming more and more profitable and more in demand. Some fleet owners want those trucks washed every single weekend. So if you've got a position, you've got the room, maybe that's what you can do. Doing tours and signage on trucks, detailing trucks, if you happen to have some acreage, places that other drivers could drive and park your trucks when they're not on the road, is becoming a really good industry as far as a place that folks can pay rent and store their trucks and their extra trailers when they're not on the highway with them. And also then you can also looking at the brokerage end and how you can start putting together truckload sales for you and maybe for other people. It's just a lot of different niches that can give you the ability to create lots of extra income. Now, I know that I'm moving along pretty fast here because it is such a big industry, and we're looking at this from 20,000 feet up in the air. And it's important that you know we're just looking at the big pictures. What I want to encourage you to do is to figure out and make notes, these things that will apply to you, and then you focus on these individual things that you can start putting into your business plan to help you to start growing. Again, if you have questions or want to share some ideas, visit your small business center and or send me email and let me know what's on your mind. I'll be glad to help give you some directions or maybe put you in touch with someone smarter about particular issues than I am. But you know what? Trucking is generally a real basic fundamental thing. It's all about, one, you bidding on the job, you're giving someone an offer to move their freight from one point to another, making an offer to carry them, their person, from one point to another. And then the other half of it is you fulfilling that promise that you made. So it gets back down to character, it gets back down to fortitude and keeping promises and not overestimating your abilities, but being truthful for yourself and with your customer. Because trucking is making a bid and then fulfilling the obligation that you made. It is just that simple in all types of trucking. Now, I want to tell you what some bad and good things are in your business. A bad thing, based on that bidding and fulfilling, a bad thing in the business you're getting ready to get into is sitting still. Sitting still is a good thing if you're just on the front porch down at the lake or at the beach or fishing, just sitting there enjoying yourself. Everything's cool. But if you're making truck payments, that truck needs to be rolling. So sitting still is a bad thing when you talk about trucking. What's another bad thing? Is traveling out on the road but being empty. Traveling, being empty and not getting paid for anything. That means you are rolling, you're not sitting still, but those wheels are turning and you're going in the hole because you're spending money and not bringing any in. So it's as fundamental as ABC. You don't want this to be happening, and when it is, you have to have it on your mind, what can I do to change this situation? Now, a good thing is traveling with cargo and getting paid to haul it. That makes sense, doesn't it? What else do we need to know? Traveling with cargo and getting paid is the way that we're going to pay our bills and stay in business. Any other scenario, we're in a negative situation. Some folks will ask almost with every session, why in the world are there so many regulations and rules related to the trucking business? Well, let me share with you. There has to be a lot of regulations and rules, and while they're aggravating and cumbersome and like an anchor around your neck sometimes, we have to have them. So you might as well take a positive attitude about it, because trucking in our country is a major portion of our national defense. The security of America has a lot to do with trucking. The security of our commerce, of our economy, has a lot to do with trucking, because let me tell you, everything that moves almost moves by a truck in one place or another. And this commerce has to be free-flowing from state to state and region to region. We have to be able to get from point A to point B in all types of weather. No matter what the politics are at the nation or in a certain state at a certain time, this freight has to go through. It has to get from point A to point B, or we don't move our bombs and our bullets and our airplanes and our fuel around, and we don't move the things that we have to eat, from baby formula to milk to different types of food, car parts. Everything in America that's related to our commerce and our defense ends up moving on a truck. Which, you know what? That brings it home real clear. There's always going to be a trucking business. Sometimes it's going to be more profitable than others, but the nation, the government's going to make sure that small truck owners are able to operate, because they know that when it's all up to the big companies, things got to go south. So why, again, are there so many rules and regulations? Well, because of wrecks. Someone has to make sure that folks are trying to keep the trucking industry safe. We know that without regulations, some operators will ignore the rules, ignore the safety. Therefore, folks get killed, freight has to stop, traffic's tied up, and things just get really messy. Another reason we need rules and regulations is highway maintenance. Our highways would last 100 times longer if it was just little compact cars riding on them, and motorcycles and mopeds, bicycles. We would have a drastic cut in our highway maintenance costs. But you know what runs our maintenance cost up? It's those heavy vehicles going over the highways and the bridges and the intersections. They cause the most wear and tear on the highway. So there has to be regulations to protect our infrastructure from folks that would abuse the overweight rules and such as that. So there's got to be rules and rules and rules and rules. Which type of trucking business do you want to go into? What is the focus that you think you'll have the best chance to satisfy your dreams and ambitions, your income resources? There's so many different types. It's incredible. We'll talk about a lot of them tonight. And I want to encourage you to consider lots of different types, because that diversity is what can help you stay in business. So before you jump in and you make a major move because you just feel like it sounds like a good thing at the time, I want you to do some thorough researching. The competition is going to be steep in every type of trucking. So you want to save yourself time and money and energy looking at the different industries before you jump in. Don't make any major move. I'm going to encourage you to go slow, put your toes in the water, and let's get some research. Look around, like this Rooms to Go warehouse is here in Dunn, North Carolina, less than a mile from my home where I'm sitting. And every day they have this trailer parked out there encouraging people, hey, get you a truck and we'll let you pull our trailer up and down the road and pay you to do it. They're saying you can earn $120,000 or more a year doing this for us. And a lot of people are doing that. I've talked to some drivers who are doing this. Some like it. Some says it just doesn't fit them. But there are a lot of situations where that if you have your own truck, if you can afford to get a used truck that's dependable, get it licensed and insured properly, there are people waiting just to say, hey, here, come and hook up to my trailer and take it away. Lots of people are doing that. Lots of companies are making big bucks doing it and keeping a lot of people running. Again, there's more opportunities out here than you probably realize. So which type of trucking do you want to do? And then you want to own your own truck and pull other people's trailers, then that's certainly one type of area to go for. So let's talk about the different styles that if you actually want to start a business of your own, in other words, you want to be more than just a one-man show. You want to maybe drive, but you also want to be involved with having a number of trucks. Maybe it's 2 or 3 18-wheelers, maybe it's some small vans, maybe it's some taxi-type vehicles, could be some Uber-type vehicles. Whatever it is, if you're after more than one vehicle that you're in control of, let's talk about how that might look. There's 2 different kinds of businesses. One is where you subcontract the drivers. You own the business and you will negotiate the contracts, but the drivers are not actually employed by you. They're private contractors, and you're hiring them as subcontracted drivers. And what can that do for you? It can really reduce your startup cost because they don't have to look after their own equipment and their own insurance and such as that. So it gives you the opportunity to have to be able to get in business for a whole lot less money, but you're going to have to pay out more money to the drivers, which will cut into your profits. It's kind of a two-edged sword, but a lot of people will get started this way. Maybe several independent drivers. Maybe you're already an independent driver, have your own equipment, and trying to figure out how to grow. Well, the way that you do it is you contact some other independents and see if they will work for you as a subcontractor. You line up the loads, you start putting together the shipping information, and start hiring known drivers to work for you. There's no difference in you doing it and some big company out here on the road like Landstar or Brown or so many others. Everyone's got to start somewhere, so that's the place to do it. Some folks say that when you're doing this and you start putting those loads together, and there's some laws and regulations that have to be played out here, really important. I was talking to Chris about that earlier. You've got to know what you can do and when you can do it and what liabilities are talking about. But there is a way to start it, and that's basically what I'm talking about. And then you've got your own private. You own the drivers. In other words, the drivers work for you. You and your staff run all the factors in the business. You own the trucks. You do the maintenance. You get your loads lined up, and you actually hire as salaried employees folks to drive for you. Or maybe even those drivers are driving your trucks as some type of subcontractor arrangements. But in any way, you don't have to spend a lot more money to do this because you don't have to come up to own the equipment, the trucks and the trailers. And I want to tell you that money is really getting more expensive these days and more financial opportunities and responsibilities. So to grow into a trucking company that owns its own trucks and trailers and equipment will take a lot of money, a lot of cash. So that's why some folks have to grow one step at a time to get started. Or you find someone that actually wants to fund it and put it together. Maybe someone that's in the construction business or in the gravel business or in the oil business or in the fuel or fertilizer business. Sometimes large corporations that do have a lot of cash flow or a lot of credit to them will start their own subsidiary trucking company and hire someone to manage it and run it for them. Or they'll say to someone like you, I've got the money, if you've got the experience and the know-how, I'll put you in the trucking business, provided you handle primarily my products at a good, reasonable price. Happens all the time. What is the area that you feel comfortable about saying you want to operate in? Now, Brittany may say, I want to stay in North and South Carolina because I want to get home every night. And Angela, who's also in the trucking business, she may want her trucks to go all over the country because she understands that if you don't make some big money, you got to take some big risks. And then Stephanie might say, well, I just want to go between North Carolina and Florida back and forth because I've got friends down in Florida that if I go down and I don't have a load to bring back today, I can spend the night with them, keep my costs down, find a certain type of load. Or some folks might say that I want to go from Tennessee to Texas and just haul horses back and forth, just haul livestock back and forth. Others may say, I'm really happy hauling pigs back and forth to Elizabethtown, North Carolina. There's all different types of business in the trucking that you can consider doing. Maybe it's none of those, but they're out there. There's so many hundreds of different types. So you have to determine when you're doing your business plan what area that you want to run in. And because each different type of business or region you want to run into will require that your business plan will look a little different with the different things that you have to buy. For example, if you're going to run to California, you might not be able to buy a used truck below a certain age because they require certain requirements on trucks for emission controls and things like that. That if it's, say, more than 10 years old, maybe you can't run it in certain states. That's right. Or maybe certain type of trailers are legal in Virginia but are not legal in Kansas. So knowing where you're going to operate is going to be really, really important for you, okay? Also, when you're getting your CDLs, your commercial driver's license, it is so important that you understand that certain endorsements are required for certain types of hauling. You might not have known this, but just saying I've got a CDL may qualify you to carry a certain type of freight, but there may be a lot of other types of freight that you can't haul. So as you're determining what type of business you want to get into, then that may mean that you're going to have a different CDL endorsement for yourself, or when you're hiring drivers to make sure that the people that you're hiring have the right type of credentials to meet your customer needs. Kind of getting a little complicated there, isn't it? Don't let it bug you, because once you get into the system and you understand once you get the license, it's okay. But just getting started, you need to talk to someone that knows the game about these different types of endorsements. As you're taking these tests, these practice tests that I've got, they will mention quite a bit about this test is for that endorsement and others. So it'll cover those. Do you know the different types of freight? There's just not, hey, I don't haul a trailer. There's a lot of different kinds out here, and each one of these represent a niche market. Represent a niche market that you might go after. For example, let's say that you would really like to haul computers from some of the computer manufacturers in the Research Triangle out in California and Texas. You want to haul computers. Well, computers, people that haul those, most of those companies require that you have a really soft ride, like an air ride truckload, special equipment in there to protect them against shatter and such as that. And there's some other types of hauling that might apply to that as well, like really expensive cars and glassware or fragile items. So if you had an air ride trailer and you were set up and had all your credentials to do that, then you would cater to those companies for that type of hauling. And you know what? because you've got that special trailer and that special expertise and equipment, you'll be able to charge a lot more money than someone that doesn't. In other words, you can't haul freight. You can't haul on a regular flatbed trailer. You might haul lumber, but you're not going to be set up to haul computer equipment. Special hauling equipment is required for different loads, and that special hauling equipment helps you attack the different niche markets. Now, the two types of hauling are either a truckload, that is, you just don't fill your trailer up, go from point A to point B, find someone that's got another truckload and pull it somewhere else. That's TL, truckload. But some other people will say, I don't pick up a little load here and carry it there, and while I'm there, I'll get another little load. In other words, they're kind of like the whistle stop. They're going to stop along the way, unload items and reload items. That is called less than truckload hauling. Less than truckload hauling is far more expensive by the pound and by the mile than truckloads is, because you're always having to stop and go out of your way from one place to the other. Some truckers do nothing but haul freight from the airport. And air freight hauling, that is, that it comes in on an airplane and then put on a freight truck at the airport to go directly to the customer. That way it gets to them faster. That is really expensive rates on that. So, and some drivers focus on that because they can make more money. They got certain routes that they go on, carve out that niche market and do really well. So if you want to live in the Raleigh-Durham area or the Winston-Salem area, or Greensboro, Winston-Salem, or Charlotte, where they have large airports, the largest in North Carolina, then that might be a niche market that you go after, is finding out what's happening with the air freight market. And then there's folks that want their stuff not to mess around, take 3 or 4 days to get here. I want it to leave here today and get there tomorrow. I had a customer who bought some seeders from me, like you put seeds in the ground behind your tractor. They were doing solar farms out in Utah, and they had a weather front coming in that they needed to get those seeds in the ground before a certain date. And indeed, they bought these seeders from me because I said, if you'll give me that order, I can put these seeders on a trailer tomorrow, and you'll have them within 3 days. That was part of the deal. I had to guarantee that delivery. I was able to do that because I was able to find some truck drivers who would ride together and team drive. In other words, they stayed rolling 24 hours a day, and they were able to get that equipment to them. Everybody was happy. They made 3 times the normal rate in shipping, and I made some extra profit too because I was the only person that was able to put that together. So if you've got yourself, or maybe yourself and your wife, or someone else that you would work with, that you can put together expedited hauling, then you'll be in a position to make a lot more money with a certain group of customers. You just have to find out where they are, or to make yourself available through the load boards. Specialized hauling, again, is going to be the key to your success and sustainability. I want you to have a group of Raven Van customers that will stay with you year after year after year. So if you're just working for a large company and wherever they send you, that's where you go, it's really hard to create those customer relationships that are needed to put together a long-term sustainable business. Why is that? Because if you're an independent, the large companies will use you as long as they need you. But now let's go back and remember I was talking about business cycles before. As business has been going up the last 6 or 7 years, the large freight companies, the large holders, have been hiring lots of independents to come on board and help them move their freight. They had their own drivers and their own equipment and had that maxed out. And because business was good, they had opportunities for more business, so they started hiring independents. But just as soon as the market starts cooling down and the economy slows, those companies will stop hiring independents just to keep their stuff busy. That's the rule of business, and it will happen. So if your whole world is built around being hired by a large company as an extra helper with extra equipment, and all of a sudden they don't need extra helpers and equipment, then you're not going to have anything to do. And hence, you'll go out of business if you got payments to make. Now, if, however, you've created your own relationships with shippers, And in good times and bad times, those shippers will stay with you. Maybe not as much in bad times, but they will at least want to keep you there because you're dependent on them and they're dependent on you. That's the key. So looking at different types of hauling is important. Up here in this left-hand corner, the 2 men in a truck is the most successful business enterprise in America that's related to trucking. Anyone that's got box trucks, a couple or 3 men that are available in local communities to help people move, to help offices move from here to there, to help small businesses do this and that, those are going to be good, solid businesses. So I want to tell you that one thing that I encourage you to look at if you want to be small or have a part-time business is consider a box truck like this, and then make yourself available to the local region to do specialized hauling. Start creating relationships. You'll probably get along just fine. The fish truck up here on the upper right-hand side is hauling fish from the hatcheries over in Edenton, North Carolina, and down in Fayetteville, all over the southeast. It's a big business, becoming bigger now that catfish and tilapias are being grown in ponds. That's a special hauling equipment. Very expensive, but it's going to be a guaranteed business that will stay with you because that industry will go on. The lumber and wood business, we've got a lot of different types of wood industries in North Carolina. Log hauling is going to be there. It's dangerous work, but it's very volatile. Sometimes it's wide open. Sometimes it's very low key. But indeed, a lot of folks love log hauling. And if you've got your relationships with the mills or with the timber companies, you can have a good, sustainable business. Now, isn't this the largest watermelon you've ever seen? I got to feel that is a doctored up picture, but there's all kind of weird stuff out there where people are doing special weird type of hauling that it's okay to do it. Specialized hauling in my industry, in the farm equipment industry, this is the type of hauling that I do or the hauling that I help. The upper left-hand corner here is a truckload of rotary cutters that's coming into a distributor. I sell these rotary cutters one at a time. I almost never sell a truckload. But when I was a dealership, I had a lot of folks, like in the lower right-hand corner, that would do what we call hot shot hauling, that they take their personal pickup truck and a small trailer, pick up a tractor in North Carolina and carry it all the way to Arizona sometime. Made good money, good relationships with those drivers. I kept 2 or 3 of them busy most all the time for a number of years. So specialized hauling you can get into without a big investment. 3 men in a truck, overseas container transports, wreckers and recovery for automobiles, good types of specialized furniture, livestock, agricultural products. I mean, our region here is full of ag products, peanuts and cotton, fertilizers, shavings, swine. All of these require specialized equipment, but there's business waiting for you tomorrow. The key is the business will be there, but you have to cultivate the relationship. Just being the cheapest guy in town will mean that maybe you'll get some loads, but when times get tough, you may not be able to stay in business unless you work hard to create relationships with shippers. Niche markets. Special ones are security hauling, and that may be special items that people have secrets. They got things they don't want other folks to know about. Having security type of businesses with certain customers can be very good. Boat hauling for the individual owners, that is when the manufacturer sells one, they will hire a contractor to come and load that real expensive boat. You've seen them on the highways. They require special equipment and a lot of expertise, but you get paid really, really well. The key is having a relationship with the shipper and or the buyer. Luxury cars is a great market and a lot of fun. You see these cargo trailers behind pickups all the time out on the interstates. A lot of them are hauling luxury cars or cars that people bought on the internet auctions and carrying them from one place to another. Then there's hazardous hauling. It might be chemicals, medicines, things like that. It could be military stuff, which requires special permits, special equipment, and every build of this is built on relationship. And then lastly, if you don't be in the trucking business and you got to get all this insurance and learn all these things and have the mechanics and the tools to do things, then moving people in buses and doing family charters or RVs is a very lucrative business, especially today. It's one of the fastest growing businesses in America, or is the larger RV market. Now, in our region and all throughout the Southeast and pretty much all throughout America, but mainly in the Southeast, I want to tell you that hotshot trucking is the hottest thing going on. Why? Because people are able to use their own private pickup trucks, heavy duty now, and buying a fairly inexpensive trailer and being able to get into the trucking business because no CDL license is required, no really expensive insurance policies are required, and a minimum amount of expertise, mainly being safety conscious, can help you get into the business. So hotshot trucking is really something that some people can start into the business doing this and then grow from there. Maybe you're hauling have a special little car hauler like you're doing here. Who uses those? Every used car dealer, every new car dealership are using these things, and especially your internet auction sales. The hotshots aren't required to have that CDL, lower startup cost and more flexibility, hauling everything from construction material to job sites, and so much more. Farm equipment and other types of equipment, fewer restrictions and regulations are on these trucks. Sometimes you don't even, if you're a hotshot, you don't even have to pull into the weigh stations. There's some regulations where you might, but most of the time, these drivers just keep on trucking. They're all tied up with the weigh stations and being weighed all the time. But starting this way is a good way possibly to get into larger trucks. Why? Because you can make your relationships with shippers with small vehicles and small loads and then grow into their larger loads, and you can grow into your larger stuff too. Relationship building, again, is so important to serve small industries and individuals. Now, I want to mention that if this is an area that you have given serious consideration to, and Chris, I want to bring this to your attention, this is probably going to be really important for you if you're interested in hotshotting, is this book. I didn't write it. I don't know. I bought it and I read it. But Colton Ryder has written a really good book about hotshot trucking. He goes into it in plain talk, easy to understand English, and this is available at Amazon. I've looked through. I didn't fully read, but I skimmed and read up on about maybe 10 books on hotshot trucking, and this was the one that I decided that I wanted to buy and read, and after I did, I was very satisfied with it. I think it's cost less than $20 at Amazon, so make a note, Hotshot Trucking by Colton Ryder. I think you'll find to be a very good resource if you're serious about moving this way. He covers all the bases and does it really, really well. This is my book, Trucking and Starting Your Own Business, and I look at the broader scope of trucking like we're doing in our webinar tonight, covering what we're talking about here, plus a lot more in the book that I wrote, and it's at Amazon as well. Now, in your handouts, one of them is 50 businesses that you can start with $100 or less. I'm not trying to talk you out of getting into the trucking business. I am encouraging you to look at the different ways and different businesses that you might be in that have a trucking component to it. Because sometimes just being the trucking part of the business isn't enough to be sustainable. But if you're using your trucking ability to help move and sell and do other types of, to make a business become whole, sometimes it's a winning combination. So I'm giving you 50 different types of businesses you may or may not be able to tie into the trucking business for a fairly small amount of money, but that's for you to figure out. Or maybe you want the trucking business to stand on its own, but you know you're going to have some part-time, you're going to have some time to do some other work, or maybe you don't use your truck to pick up materials that you're going to buy or sell in this other enterprise that you're doing. That's why I wanted to give you this handout. It's kind of just an idea builder for yourself. At the end of the day, securing the proper equipment is just going to become a must-do thing to do. Sure, we all want a beautiful new truck. We want it to be equipped to do what we got to do. But just as we've been talking, and what I've been trying to drive home to you is, it's important that you think about the type of work that you're going to do before you go out and buy equipment. Because if you're wanting to do one type of hauling, maybe this trailer will not work for you, or that truck will not work for you. If you were thinking about going coast to coast and to all the states, then you're going to have to be really selective on the trucks that you buy because of the equipment that is required in different states. If you're thinking about you want to do some type of heavy hauling, like heavy industrial equipment or construction equipment, that's what you want to do. Maybe you want to do crane hauling, like you see these huge trucks hauling cranes up and down the highway for construction sites. That's going to require special equipment, special driver's license, and maybe some special training. So just don't jump out there and start buying equipment before you have a business plan that helps you know what you're going to get. Securing the proper equipment is really good. Now, this is a trailer that one of our entrepreneurs had bought. Shirley had bought this used trailer because she was having more and more shippers who wanted her to have her own trailer or to leave a trailer at their dock so they could be filling it up while she was pulling another one somewhere else. Well, Shirley bought this used trailer, got a good price on it. This is about 3 years ago, before trailer prices really started skyrocketing. And got the trailer. It was really good. But she shared with me that after she got it, she hauled a couple of loads in it, but then backed up to a particular shipper, and they tried to load it and were unable to use it. The trailer had a nice feature to it in that the previous owner had put some really thick plywood sheets all the way up and down the sides of the trailer to help protect the sides and to make easier to secure equipment inside and to protect the walls. But that half-inch sheet of plywood on each side of the trailer made it have an inch less space in the middle, and she was unable to put two pallets side by side inside that truck because it wasn't wide enough for them to fit in there without jamming. So you have to know these things. In that situation, she got such a good deal on it, and the way trailer prices have skyrocketed, she's not going to lose any money on it. It's still a good value, but she didn't know to check that critical measurement because some of her shippers, it just wouldn't work. So you have to know the specific inches and meters that it takes to satisfy your shipper's needs. And having the wrong equipment means you don't get the order and somebody else does. Car hauling is becoming more and more popular. There's no doubt about it. But you know what? More and more hotshot loads are taking the business away from the large traveling parking lots. Some of this business is still around, but if you've noticed on the highways, there's a whole lot less of these and a whole lot more hotshots. So give that some consideration. Special niche markets like this, trolleys and buses, people carriers, are becoming more and more important in certain areas. And this comes into play if you live in a town as universities, or it's a beach community, or a place where you have a lot of tourists, races, special events, or move your trolley from place to place. Now, I know some contractors who have 6 or 8 of these. They lease them at state fairs. They lease them sometimes to other people to drive. Sometimes they send their own drivers. But you know what? They keep them busy about 70% of the time during the year and make a really good profit. They're able to upgrade often. And when they're ready to sell their older equipment, they're always easy to liquidate it because there's someone always looking for some type of people hauler for a new place or a new event. Give that some thought. Keep your eyes open. I had a trolley about 20 years ago that I used just to lease out to civic organizations and let them use it in parades for Girl Scout troops, for the Shriners, for different people that if they wanted to have their group in different types of parades, they come and rent my trolley, and I'd use a tractor. I got free advertising for my tractor, and they paid for the rent on the trolley. It stayed busy almost a good 80% of the time. Eventually, I wasn't making any money on it because I was using it mainly for advertising purposes. I found other ways to do it and sold the trolley to the local battleground commission, and they're still using it out there now. So there's always a market there. Give that some thought. Maybe there's something there that will apply to your situation. And more so than ever before, campers, as I've already mentioned earlier, is more and more popular. As prices at the coastal areas go up, as prices at the mountain resorts go up, more and more families are camping. More and more folks are looking for ways to cut the cost of their vacations or their long weekends, and having campers is certainly a way to consider doing that. Some folks are buying mobile camping units or RVs. Some folks just have them for rent, but it's all transportation. If you're going to be in the trucking business and have the insurance and have the expertise to keep it running, sometimes to having the different niche markets, depending on what's going on in your area, can be very, very effective. So we're talking out to the Pamlico Nation, where more and more people are going to the rivers and the sounds to camp and to fish and to enjoy the wildlife, the settings. This type of opportunity down that way can become very, very lucrative and a lot of fun. And indeed, not only can you rent these units, but you can get into selling them, going into specialty items. If you're doing that, then maybe you're going to start upfitting or providing service for other people. These different profit centers with these types of markets is really growing, so give it some thought, look into it. Towing business is always good. There's somebody that needs a car towed from here to there. Every single day there's a car breaks down, or someone buys or wrecks a new or used car, or they just need it to be hauled for what reason. But here's what I want to mention to you. When you have a truck like this, if you're going to diversify, I want you to have not only some towing customers, but be ready to haul some hay for horses. Be ready to haul some lumber for contractors. Be ready to haul this and that, so that you're using your truck all the time instead of just letting it sit waiting for a particular type of hauling. That's the key in profitability, is having the relationships with a number of different types of customers to help keep your vehicle busy. The good news is that you can buy or lease to own the right equipment. Sometimes you're smarter to do a rent-to-own plan than you are to buy it. Because maybe to buy it, you've got to come up with a larger down payment, and you take on the long-term financial risk, which doesn't help your financial statement because it becomes a debt on your financial statement. But maybe your credit score will allow you to rent or to lease to own. That means that you don't show the big debt on your financial statement, which might help you able to borrow money or buy some larger equipment when it's time to do it. Also, you always have the right to walk away from it if you're renting or rent to own. But if you decide to buy it in a rent to own plan, you're able to apply the monies that you spent towards that equipment, at least a portion thereof, towards the purchase price, and get back some of that return on investment. So give that some thought. Buying and lease to own sometimes is a way to get started if your financial situation is not too strong. But always ask an owner-operator, someone that's in the business doing what you're thinking about doing. Go talk with someone that's been doing it and ask for their advice. People will help you. You'll be surprised how much good information you can get from someone that's been out there, been there and done that, and it can go so far to helping you. An important factor why I want you to attend more and more of our webinars and seminars on basic business skills is because you are in a business now where negotiating is a big deal. Everything that you buy and sell when you're securing equipment, if you know the right negotiating tactics, you can probably buy it for a lot less money than if you don't know how to negotiate. And if you're selling these equipment, if you know how to negotiate, you can probably get more income for what you're selling by owning some good negotiating skills. Now, this just isn't the G and haul, or I want to quibber about this or that, or let's pull at each other. and talk about how much you can give me off on it. When you're negotiating, you're using certain strategies and tactics. Now, week after next, we're going to talk about, on Thursday night, week after next, we're going to talk about some bookkeeping basics, and then we're going to talk about negotiating and forecasting. And if you can join us Thursday week, that would be a real important subject for you to come on board. So remember, tomorrow night is how to find customers. Excuse me, the week after that is how to fund your business and cash flow it, and then the next week is about negotiating. You're going to need some money to get started. Have you already got it? How much are you going to need? Those are kind of important questions, aren't they? And we all have to ask ourselves that. That's where your business plan is going to come into play. So you need to make a list. We all have to make a list of what our startup costs are to determine what it's going to take to get started. It is really important that you don't try to jump into business and be underfunded, because there's going to be some curveballs coming your way. There always is, and especially in trucking, you got more chances for curveballs and unexpected expenses to find you. So you need to be set to get started and got your risk management things planned. It's important to start small and then grow as you can. Maybe you need to work for someone else and learn the business, let them pay you, get on the job training and get paid for it to learn the ropes. I'm always in favor of anytime you can get someone to pay you and train you at the same time. That's a pretty good deal. So let's get started now. Let's think about what we're going to do to get started. Chapter 3, and I'm going to speed up now as we're going to go through here, because you've got your handouts or you got my book, so you'll be able to check this as we go. What are the do's and don'ts that you want to do to get your website started? Let's say you're going to get a regular business started. I'm going to tell you that if you are, then that you're going to be important that you play on the internet, that you're able to do some marketing, let people find you. You're going to need to have some videos and some certain types of websites. Again, that's where tomorrow night can help you really figure out how to find customers. Write a business plan. There's 7 essential sections to every business plan. You don't have to do all 7, but there's a few things that you really need to do. Now, I mentioned to you that in September, we're going to start another series of 7 series of different classes, 14-hour training course on how to start a new business. So if you want to take a part in a continuing 14-hour course on all the aspects of getting your business started, go ahead and plan right now to join us in September, even if it's your second, third, or fourth time, to start letting all this stuff soak in while you're getting ready to start your business. You got to get legal, and as a trucker out there on the road facing a lot of risk, putting yourself in danger, putting other people in danger, you do want to be an LLC corporation or some other type of corporate structure, because you want to protect your personal assets against being sued while you're running your business. So in doing your business plan and work, then you're going to want to form an LLC to get started. The insurance is going to be critical. Finding that right insurance agent that is trained and seasoned to help people in the trucking business is going to be really important. Find an insurance agent in your area that has this expertise. Now, how do you know? You go to the truck stop and you talk to the people there, the local truckers, and you just ask them, who do you have your insurance with, and are you satisfied with their service? If you had to make a change, what would you do? Because you've got to have the right liabilities, the right limits, deductibles, and such as this to do the type of trucking that you want to do. So make sure you find an insurance agent who's doing that business. There's some agents that do it better, whether it's log hauling or dump trucks. Find that insurance to do it. There's several different kinds of insurance. Primary liability, which kind of looks after the damages that you do to other people. Cargo insurance covers the shipper's products that you've got on the back of your truck. So yeah, if you have a wreck and you mess up somebody else's cargo, then it's your insurance that's got to cover fixing that. Physical damage is damage to your products. Accidents or those type of things, where they cover all the different areas that maybe couldn't be covered if someone's in an accident, and that gets to be real complicated with different types of trucks and loads. A place to help clear out some of these complications and get good ongoing updated information on regulation changes in North Carolina and in other states. But in North Carolina, it's the North Carolina Truckers Association. They've got a really good website. They operate out of Raleigh. If you're going to be in the trucking business, including hot shotting, I suggest that you look into and consider joining the Truckers Association. They don't pay me a penny, and I don't have any idea what their dues are. However, truckers that I talk to say that they have some really good programs, really good websites, and keep you up to date with what's going on. Every one of you will have a different cost of getting started. Some of you already have some resources, others do not. But I want to say this to you. If you're going to use your truck and your trailer and put it into your business, then basically what you're doing is making a loan. You're loaning your business that money and that stuff. So you want to keep a record of every tool, every trailer, every truck by value of how much are you investing in your business. Because here's the good news. The business gets to pay you back. The business gets to pay you back what you've invested in it, and when they pay that back, that's tax-free. Also, the value of the items that you put into the business, and it becomes business property, the value of those, the business is supposed to pay you interest on that money until they do pay you back. So as the business starts making money, you'll get your money back plus some interest, and the interest that comes to you will be taxable, but it'll be a deduction for the company. But the loan money that's paying you back, you don't have to pay tax on that, but you get it back, and the company gets to keep it, which helps this value too. So keep a record of all your startup investments so it can be part of your business plan, and you'll be able to get it back one day. Don't want to scare you, but I want to give you some realistic. Let's say you don't buy an 18-wheeler type vehicle, a tractor, and get ready to go out and put it on the road. Generally, if you're going to do that, but you notice here the biggest expense is insurance at $8,500 is for your getting started. That $8,500, you may or may not have to pay it all at one time. But if you've got kind of risky credit and no credit history, the insurance companies may make you pay the first 6 months or whole annual premium in advance. If you got pretty good credit and some credit history, maybe they'll only require you to pay 25 to 30% of it. But at any rate, it's going to be a big lick. So you could get it ready to go and go out and buy the truck and buy the trailer, which those numbers are not in these. They would be handled separately, and still have to come up with $13,000 before you can get on the road. So getting out on the road can be very expensive. I'm giving you a heads up on that, because if not, you're just going to be shocked with how many different little fees and bills you have to pay to get started. So you need to have a backer, or you need to have some money in the bank ready to get started, and then have some loads lined up or some business ready that people are going to give you. Otherwise, you're going to be so deep in the hole before you get started that if you have one unplanned expense or maintenance issue, it may put you out of business before you get started. So know where you're headed. Make sure you got all your costs covered. Understand that business plan, how much money is going to be coming in versus going out, so you feel good about getting started. Once you have a truck and a trailer and you've been out there, people will make some offers to you. Like this is an example. Someone may in business that has their own manufacturing business may say to you, look, if you'll get a truck and trailer and you handle my products, I'll guarantee you $305,000 next year. I've got 140,000 miles in contracts of stuff to deliver. I know what months it needs to go out. I know what I can pay you per mile, and therefore I'll pay you $305,000. Now, these estimates were based when fuel prices was in the $3.95 to $4 range. Today, those rates might double because of the insurance costs, but whatever the current costs are, you can take someone making you an offer like this and say, okay, let's go do it. Let me jump into it and buy this. No. You always look at what the potential revenue is, as they're telling you, but now we got to go figure out what the potential cost is. The good news is in trucking, depending on the size truck you have and the size trailer, you can determine pretty much your fuel costs, your insurance costs. You'll know what you're going to have to pay your drivers per mile. You can estimate well your maintenance costs, and also you'll know your truck and trailer loan payments. So with a business plan, and that's what this represents, with a business plan, you can see what's going to be left. And that's what a good plan does, tells you what's left. Whether or not you have those offers up top, then you want to know in your business plan pretty much how much money you can make here and have a goal. Because your goal needs to be what's left. So even if you're building from the bottom up to guess and estimate these other costs, you can figure out how much revenue you need to generate before your business plan is going to work. Then you can go and do your potential, talking with potential shippers or people that's going to contract with you to haul their products, determine how much revenue that you'll be able to generate over a period of time. That's what a business plan will look like. You just don't want to go get into debt, buy a big truck, and say, okay, I'm ready to rock and roll without having an idea of what you need to charge or where you're going to go to get this business. Don't do that. Have a plan before you get started. Fuel cards are something that you're going to be able to rely on. Some shippers will give you a fuel card with the load. In other words, they know that fuel prices are going up, and they know that a newly started truck driver is not going to get out on the road carrying $10,000 cash with them. Number one, you don't have it. Number two, you don't want to carry that much cash on the road with you. So using fuel cards, which is a credit card, a prepaid credit card, helps truck drivers handle and manage the large expenses. One of the big advantages of working for the small company or for the load boards is that they will provide you the fuel cards to help fund you while you're handling that load. So you might say, okay, I don't take this load on in Dunn, North Carolina at a certain manufacturer. The company that's hiring you to haul it say, well, go to a certain truck stop. They have a fuel card there ready for you that's loaded up with, say, $7,000 to handle your fuel costs and other accommodations, food and such as that, all the way to California. So instead of using your money, you'll use that fuel card to handle their load. Now, the cost of that fuel card comes out of what you're making, but somebody's got to pay it, and you'll be able to figure out what your expenses are without taking a lot of cash risk. So fuel cards are very, very nice to have. The North Carolina Department of Transportation, DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, has a really great website that has a lot of information for commercial trucking. I suggest that you spend some time there, just go through it. There's so much to read, it's too much to consume at one time. But it's important that you have an idea, just like I enjoy going there, to know what's there, so when questions come up, you'll have a place that you can go find the answers that you want, and they're really, really good. I got to say to you that one of the biggest risks that you're going to take is going to be substance abuse. If you've got a problem with it, it can hang you. It can hang you in the trucking business. But most importantly, you got to know that whether it's your brother or your cousin or your daddy or your son or your next door neighbor, you got to know that they are not involved with substance abuse. You have to, and I'm telling you this as a friend and a coach, before you hire anyone, kin to you or not, they have to know that you're going to do random testing and do it often. You cannot afford not to. You cannot afford not to. A person on substance abuse driving your vehicles out on the road, having accidents, putting themselves at risk and other people, killing them, tearing equipment up, putting you out of business easily. So you got to know that this is one of the biggest risks in the trucking industry today, is steering clear of folks that's having substance abuse issues. We love them and we want them to get fixed. We want them to get cured, but I don't want them to do it at your expense. Find customers, create a marketing plan. Again, tomorrow night we'll talk about different things to do that. Get your images and your slogans ready so that you can find customers and make it work for you. Understand how load boards work. This is a copy of a computer screen of a load board. This was J.B. Hunt's. And load boards are where you go when you're looking for loads to haul. So J.B. Hunt is telling us up here in the northeast corner, there was 4,072 loads available to pick up at this particular time and where they were going. So load boards, as you see it on television, on some of the TV shows, you bid on how much you will say to J.B. Hunt, you'll pick up this load there and carry it where they want it to go, and you'll do it for X amount of dollars. And you bid, and the lower the bid, the better the chance is you'll get the load. So that means you got to know your business. You got to know your fuel cost and what it is. But load boards are out there for you, and that's how independent drivers who are driving back and forth across the country, or in long-distance drivers, that's how they stay busy, because they're going to be concerned that if they pick up a load in Maine and carry it all the way to Arizona, then they're going to go over to Arizona and see what kind of loads are available coming back to North Carolina. So you have to learn how to make this work for you. How do you do that? You walk up to someone that's used to doing this and you talk to them and make it work. Also, if you are a member of the J.B. Hunt and the other Landstar or some of the other load boards, they will have special tutorials and training sessions to teach you how to do this and teach you how to manage your business. They don't want you to lose money because they want you to keep coming back because they get a piece of the action. They set up the arrangement for you. They will collect the money for you. They will send you the fuel cards, and they're going to keep a piece of that action. That's what brokers do. Load boards are brokers on the internet. So remember, it can be very valuable to you. Some people, like the hot shots, use this all the time. They will have their a local relationship, maybe to pick up a boat or a tractor in eastern North Carolina and carry it to Tennessee. Well, before they leave, they're going to go on the load boards and see what type of equipment is available to come out of Tennessee that they might be able to haul. They'll place a bid on it before they ever pick up that boat or tractor, so they know they've got a return trip. Because what did we say? Coming back empty, not making any money, means you're losing money. So you got to be careful. Shippers. Look to the people in your area, what I like to call the low-hanging and ripe fruit. Who are the shippers in your closest area that you can go to and maybe start getting some hauling business? Because if you can pick up loads closer by that you don't have to spend a lot of money driving a long way to get these loads and have a relationship, that means you're ahead of the game from day one. So look at your local markets. Who are the manufacturers in your local market? Most of us, myself included, sometimes live in a town or live in an area and have no idea who's making stuff and who's shipping it all the time. It's just amazing. I noticed out here on North Carolina beside Interstate 95 here at Dunn, about 8 new huge warehouses being built where people are shipping in and out. So we got some brokers working there. If you're starting your own trucking company, you want to ride around, do some looking, talk to folks that are knowledgeable in the business and see what opportunities might be available to you. New businesses mean new opportunities for new folks in the trucking. The local shippers need a visit from you so that you look at them eyeball to eyeball. You look at them so you can negotiate a deal, so that they know that you care, that you've got good-looking equipment, and that you are local. People want to help local other people in small business. That is the networking thing that we're doing. Just like on these webinars, some folks are going to start manufacturing. They're going to need shippers. It's a good way to connect when we talk about it and say good things about our friends. Again, it's entrepreneurs and associates, and that's what I want us to be. Have you got your equipment looking good? It don't have to be new, but it don't need to be leaking oil everywhere. It needs to be reliable. People don't care if you've got a new truck or not. They want to rely on you, number one, to keep reliable equipment. That's going to be critical, too, when you go to the load boards, because you're not going to be able to qualify for loads unless you can prove that you've done all the safety and maintenance issues and your equipment is up to snuff. I want you to have some business cards and brochures. That's a part of this marketing campaign again. Come back tomorrow night and we'll talk more about it. It's really good for you to have a website. Even if you're an independent trucker, just operating on your own, it's good for you to have a website so that when anyone types in your name, they see what you want them to see. You've got to, even if it's a simple one-page website, it needs to be positive and present a good image. Because listen, you may be John Doe, and there may be 1,000 other John Does that come up on the internet at one time. But when you learn SEO and how to get your website to come up first with your name and special things to do, it'll make a world of difference. And when people go searching on you, trying to learn about you and your business, that the right images come up. Very important for you. Brokers and broker relationships can make you or break you. A lot of you will become brokers one day. In other words, you're going to handle your own freight brokering and do it for other people. Some brokers are crooked. Some brokers will take advantage of you, especially as a new driver. So make sure you shop very carefully and get a good sense of trust. Check out their credentials. Talk to other people that have worked with them before you go to start working with a broker, because indeed some of them do not operate as honest as they should. Find another owner-operator that knows about the facts and talk to them before you start a relationship. Try to find 5 different types of loads that you can haul. If you're going to be in the business, whether it be hot shotting or any other type, box trucks, Amazon hauling, try to think and find 5 different types of loads where you can create different relationships with different shippers so that you haven't got all your eggs in one basket. Never put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure you've got a plan B that'll help you move on in case things are tough. Think about how fast you want to grow. Maybe you want to start out with 1 or 2 trucks. How often do you want to add trucks? Most people will try to stay the same for at least 1 or 2 years so they have a good gauge of events, knowing how their income is coming and their potential business is coming in. The operator that goes from 1 truck to 10 trucks in 1 year usually goes out of business the next year. Grow slow, handle your debt, handle your cash flow, handle your maintenance, handle your people. So very important. The risk will scare us all. But remember, there's a risk management tool for every risk you've got. Don't let the risk scare you away and not get started in business, because they're going to tell you that a good insurance agent and a good someone that's been in business a while, you can manage the risk if you are a manager. To be in business, you have to have management skills to handle the risk. And I encourage you to visit our webinars and learn these management skills here for me on the internet. When you get a customer, you want to keep them. The key to staying in business is repeat business. So customer service and your attitude and standards will have everything to do with whether or not you're able to stay in business. Customer service factors are so important. Everything that we've talked about, these different skills, if you're interested in doing more reading about them and want a free study guide, just go to your chat board here, type in, I'd like to have a study guide on this subject or another subject. There's a good chance I've got it, and I'll send it to you. If I don't have it, I'll search the internet and try to at least send you some information to help you along. 60% of the reason that people will give you repeat business is because they like you. They feel good about doing business with you. You smile, you talk, you act like you care. And so many people in trucking back up to the ramp and say, get it off the truck. Act like you don't care. A thing about the people is all about you and you getting in and you getting out. Those drivers that get out start creating relationships, let people know you appreciate their business, hand them a card, hand them some way that if the next load is ready to ship out, they'll call you. But you have to say, look, I'd appreciate you giving me a call next time you got something to ship. I'll set it up where I can come and get it. That's the way you start creating relationships. Your goal is, as you're pulling away from the dock, they're saying, you know, that outfit really works hard to satisfy us, and I think we can depend on them every time. Your hospitality demeanor has everything to do with whether people want you to come back or not. And you want to come back, because that's business that's going to be repeat business for many, many years to come. Crossing borders is the place where most people say they have more anxiety than any other thing they do. But we have to cross borders. So many drivers say, I can handle things here locally. I'm familiar with the roads. But here's what I got to tell you. If you don't start driving out of state, you got to start thinking about what's going to happen on the other side of the borders. What's going on the other state line? So you have to do some homework. You have to know about the weigh stations and how they're treated there and the different ins and outs. So you have to do some research. You got to understand about portable scales and how that can affect you. In some states and some areas do it altogether different. And maybe you're in a type of industry where you get in trouble with scales. It can put you out of business and certainly put you down. Knowing how to find out where the traffic jams are, to use your radios and use the truck stops, stay in touch with what's going on in different areas. Lots of different internet sites now are helping truckers avoid traffic jams. You want to be familiar with that. Getting stuck in a jam can keep you in one place for a long time, and just like hitting low bridges. Yeah, you know, when they pave put a new surface of pavement on a road, that increases the height of it from 1.5 to 3 inches. And that 1.5 to 3 inches might be the difference in whether your trailer gets stuck under the bridge or not. So you really have to stay on what's on top. And if you're traveling in an area you hadn't ever been in before that's out of state, that's why you have to talk to the people at the truck stop and get on the radio and find out about low bridges and things that have changed. Crossing borders can make everything different. So make that list of hot issues you need to look at. And I'm giving you a list here. If you're getting ready to cross borders, make sure your safety equipment's up to par. You've got good travel logs. Your inspections are up to date. Make sure you got a good lock on your trailer because people will steal stuff out of your truck. Make sure your fuel caps are locked. Know the state laws. Know about the bridges. Understand how much weight you're carrying. And when you fill your truck up with fuel, with those huge fuel tanks, you're increasing your weight. So a full fuel tank may make you be overweight when you're going certain places. Know the differences in the major and secondary road weight limits because there's some roads that you can't go on, and you have to do that investigation to know it. DOT and insurance requirements at borders and weight stations change, so you have to be aware of that. The different types of payloads and the signage you have to have on your trailer may change from state to state. Stay on top of road construction and detours and what fuel prices are doing. A few minutes at the truck stop, calling ahead, finding out what fuel prices are up the road may make the difference in whether you make or save $500 or $600 a day with your truck expenses. Plan your rest stops so you stay within the laws. Plan to stay out of the traffic jams. It's hard to do. Make sure when you're driving at night that you make sure you're looking at that last light on your trailer before you change lanes. You have to get in the habit, and if you're new at the game, seasoned truck drivers will tell you it's so important that you learn to focus on your last lights on your trailer when you're changing lanes, because that gives you an idea of how safe that you can make the changes. Write down and remember your trailer numbers and your tag numbers because you may need it somewhere, especially if you're out of state. If you're picking up a refrigerator load and you don't want to wait a long time, then make sure you pre-cool your trailer before you get there so you're not hung up and have to wait till that trailer temperature gets down. If you're buying equipment, make sure you watch out for rust because there's been so many floods. With climate change now, there's a lot of floods going on all over the country, and people buying and selling used trucking equipment will move that flood damaged equipment all over the country. So you have to learn to get down on your knees and find out the spots that you have to check out to stay away from equipment that's been damaged in flood situations. Rust is something that will eat you alive money-wise, and floods cause rust. Be careful with that. Always look for a load to bring back. Always look for a way to make money and not to have to travel empty. Conquering the competition is a big deal. And you don't have so much competition, but the main competition you have is that competition within yourself. It's that competition that keeps us from setting the right priorities and keeping the right standards. The very minute that you start lowering your standards, cutting corners, taking the easiest way out, that's the very minute that you're getting ready to have an accident or to bid too low and lose your butt on a low bid that you didn't plan out and do correctly. So maintain those high standards is the best way to fight the competition. Present yourself professionally. Present your equipment clean, no leaks, shiny. It don't have to be new, but it has to come across as I am proud to have my products being hauled by you and your truck and your equipment because it looks dependable. And when you arrive at my customer's place, they're not going to say that I was cutting corners with the people I hired to haul my stuff. That's why it is important that you look good individually with your clothing and with your vehicle to create that atmosphere that people want to give you business. So wrapping it up now, fight distractions, set high standards, keep the right priorities there, be the best person you can be. And when you're doing that, then by golly, you'll be the best business person you can be. I want to say to you, and Norm and I both want to say to you, we wish you the very best with your business. We hope God blesses you and your family and your business. And tonight, I think we all, when we go to bed and close our eyes, need to say a very special prayer for the moms and dads and brothers and sisters and all the family and all the people out in the little Texas town where they had the big shooting at the school yesterday. I am so heartbroken about that. I can just imagine how we would feel if it was our folks involved in that. So good luck to you. God bless you. We certainly wish you the very best. And I want to say to you, if you'd like to hang around, we'll talk a little bit. And I'll start recording right now.